DC Comics. 56 seconds of logos.
You know, even though you're starting this video off with another ridiculous X seconds of logo sin, I love how energetic and full of life you sound while saying it, compared to how lifeless you are these days. This was the CinemaSins I enjoyed the most, when you weren't padding the runtime and laughing the way an incel grunts when he's finally getting some. Here, have a sin off.
Helpful 3D model tells us, yep, there's a baby in there. And it doesn't look like this baby's in any position to be born right now.
Are you suggesting that babies who aren't head down aren't ready to be born? Jeremy has never heard of C-sections or breech positions.
Hey look, it's John Carter of Krypton.
Hey look, it's a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of this movie cliche. Besides, Superman was based on John Carter. Look it up.
He's just beneath the central hub, sir.
Carla Gugino is heard and not seen.
Yeah guys, this is a video from 2013, a period in time before CinemaSins tried to appeal to the woke Twitter crowd and was making cringy references towards females like this. Good times.
I guess since it's a movie taking place on a fictional foreign planet, we're not allowed to question how the flying bug thing knew where Jor-El would come out of the structure, or how it knew that he'd be forced at the last second to make the decision to jump.
While it's fair to question how the war kite knew where Jor-El was, I don't see how this being on a foreign planet has anything to do with it, or why that was your logic for this sin.
Can he not call out for the rest of the troops he left on the platform to come help him overpower Jor-El and stop this launch?
Hey, Jared? You don't see him currently getting his ass kicked right now? I mean, imagine trying to call for backup while Mike Tyson is pummeling you.
Hey, 15 minutes in. Are we still on Krypton? Yes?
Here's 15 sins for sinning the fact that this movie gave us an extended look at Krypton, which is one of the best goddamn scenes in all of the DCEU.
How did these elaborate dick jokes by the visual effects department sneak past the director, the editor, the studio, and the MPAA?
I'm sorry, but if your dick looks like that and is that short and stubby...
Finally.
Jeremy was rooting for the destruction of Krypton. Basically, Jeremy's bizarro brainiac.
Diane Lane isn't my wife in this scene.
That's called a cinema win.
Just let him die.
Fortunately, Clark gets a lot better at letting people die by the end of the movie.
I'm pretty sure he saves the people on the oil rig and Lois Lane from being killed by the service robot. Hell, the only person he let die in the whole movie was his father, and that was because Jonathan's pimp hand is strong.
Lowering this heavy vessel into the barn basement must have required the help of a few friends, right? This can't be a total secret, can it?
You're aware that John and Martha Ken are farmers, right? Yeah, that would suggest that there exists farming equipment somewhere on their farm. Your average modern tractor has enough torque to tow a 10-ton trailer, so a 17,000-pound spaceship is right in their wheelhouse.
I took it to a metallurgist at Kansas State. He said whatever it was made from didn't even exist on the periodic table.
And that metallurgist was wowed and amazed by the finding and told none of his colleagues.
How do you know that? The movie doesn't give you enough information about that event, so who's to say they weren't wowed and told none of their colleagues? This movie is about Superman, so telling you what a random metallurgist thinks isn't the story the movie is trying to tell.
When that day comes, you're gonna have to make a choice of whether to stand proud in front of the human race or not.
The time that you do this, however, can't be when I'm about to die in a tornado. Just make sure it's not then.
The point of allowing Jonathan to die was that Jonathan didn't believe the world was ready for Clark. I mean, they literally tell you this in the movie.
I let my father die because I trusted him, because he was convinced that I had to wait, that the world was not ready.
Would simply escorting this dude out of the bar be proof that alien life exists on Earth?
It's possible. Think about it. Let's say Clark does escort this guy out of the bar by force. With how rowdy and disrespectful this asshole was, who's to say that he doesn't return with a gun attempting to kill Clark, and then the rounds just bounce off of him? And not only that, the biggest weakness to Superman is the people around him because they aren't super. So what happens if they get killed in the process?
Nope, this is a much easier explanation.
At the end of the day, who would automatically jump to, the guy I scared off by pouring beer on his head did this, and he's for sure an alien? I mean, a flat earther might, but that's because those people are clinically insane.
Asshole character tells audience he's an asshole by refusing to shake someone's hand cliché.
Or, these two characters have a history, as shown in Lois's dialogue, which explains that Hardy filed an injunction against her, probably due to him being in the military and her being a pesky journalist.
And did Clark decide to wait until the day some reporter woman shows up to go snooping? The way they had him unloading bags at the helicopter made it seem like this wasn't his first day. But if it is his first day, then we have a sin of convenience here, because it just so happens to be Lois Lane's first day on the site as well.
I still don't understand why coincidences in movies are counted as sins by CinemaSins. I mean, if they didn't mean it this time, Lois Lane wouldn't be important to the story, meaning she's only made important because she was here. I've stated this before, but the only reason you exist right now is because your parents coincidentally met when they did. If we were to make a movie about how Jeremy was born, then we'd have to show his parents as important individuals to the story, and at some point, they would be conveniently in the same place. Do you see how stupid that sounds?
Clark's superhearing was so strong as a child he had to lock himself in a closet, but he can't hear any sign that Lois is following him in this otherwise completely empty cave.
Telling that you watched the scene of Martha Kent teaching Clark how to focus his senses and block everything out, and are still asking why doesn't Clark just hear someone not making that much noise?
To see you standing there having grown into an adult.
Okay, if you want to have Jor-El show up through some magical space technology, that's okay, but why is he saying things like, to see you standing there having grown into an adult, as though he's actually there, seeing Clark? I mean, at least explain something. Toss me some technobabble or something.
They do. Jor-El's consciousness is uploaded into the computer of the ship. This is explicitly stated in the film.
Also, way to undercut the power of the dead father cliche by basically letting Jor-El live through this avatar, interact with Clark, guide him, and generally be a normal father for the rest of the movie.
Jeremy thinks Jor-El was generally a normal father for the rest of the movie. You don't get any dumber than that. Also, I'm enjoying the irony here that CinemaSins is annoyed that the movie is undercutting a cliche while spending the majority of the time sinning cliches.
Of all the worthless things this movie wastes time showing us, there can't be like a 3-second explanation as to how the Superman suit got into this ancient scout ship?
It's clearly shown that the suit itself is the usual clothing worn by Kryptonians in the scene you were bitching about earlier. As for why it has the House of L's insignia, this is actually Supergirl's ship. The real sin is that this movie made Superman's older cousin his 18,000-year-old ancestor.
Looking for Pete Ross. Do you know him?
Yeah, he works at the IHOP.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't know the quiet, introverted, commonly named Pete Ross in this town?
Son, this town is called Smallville. Do I need to say anything else?
I figured if I turned over enough stones, you'd eventually find me.
I wonder how many times Lois said that line before she was finally right that Superman was behind her.
Once.
Apparently no other strong winds accompany this huge tornado.
Asking for things that are clearly happening on the screen cliche.
Also, this seems to be a crazy sunny day for a tornado to form.
Jeremy thinks the sun completely disappears when there are tornadoes.
This movie has more flashbacks than Memento.
Considering the entirety of Memento is one giant flashback, all movies that have 2 flashbacks have more flashbacks than Memento.
How did you find your way to Earth?
We managed to retrofit the Phantom projector into a hyperdrive.
The details of how you make something from nothing are not important.
A phantom projector, or phantom drive, is a type of engine that Kryptonians use to access black holes. It accomplishes this goal by folding spacetime. This is precisely the technique that is the Einstein-Rosen bridge, otherwise known as a wormhole. This is also shown in the film, something CinemaSins conveniently leaves out of their video.
Zod takes Lois prisoner for reasons unknown, but fortunately she has that key thingy that Superman gave her so she can kickstart the plot again.
Pay attention. Lois was brought onto Zod's ship because she wrote an article about being on the Fortress of Solitude. In Zod's mind, she probably had information leading to the Codex being in that ship.
The command key, Miss Lane.
How does Jor-El know who Lois is?
Once Lois put the command key into the ship, Jor-El became a part of the ship. This means he gained knowledge of everything that happened on the ship, including the mind scan of Lois that just happened.
Well, I guess it couldn't be a superhero movie without some Jesus imagery and music, could it?
Pretty sure the concept of a Superman is derivative of the story of Jesus Christ. In fact, I'm fairly certain they're the same person, considering Jesus can shoot lasers from his eyes and bench press the moon. I read that in Corinthians.
Sure, if you've got the powers, you might as well use them, even when completely unnecessary.
So you mean to tell me that if you could jump fly, you wouldn't use that shit all the time? Hell, just because I could, I'd float to pee and call it expert mode.
Wait, I thought years of soaking in Earth's sun gave Superman his powers, as explicitly stated in the movie. But Zod and his crew are able to jump and fly all around like they've been living on Earth as long as Clark has.
That was not explicitly stated in the movie. Kryptonians do not need years of exposure to the sun to unlock their potential. Hell, the movie shows Clark using his abilities as young as elementary school. What the movie does show is that a non-experienced fighter such as Clark isn't as good at using his abilities like these militaristic Kryptonians are because he's never been trained.
Zod learns to focus the cacophony of sounds and sights that come with superpowers in about 3 seconds, which is significantly less time than it took Clark.
Speaking of things explicitly stated in the movie, Zod states that he spent years training to hone his senses.
I was bred to be a warrior, Cal. Trained my entire life to master my senses. Where did you train? On a farm?
Why metal pin impression thingies to create snaky, snappy claws? Why not, oh, I don't know, anything else?
Who Who gives a shit? No, seriously, who watched this scene and thought,
why is this CGI sequence using this specific material to make these claws?
Besides, if it were anything else, you'd moan about that too.
Why is Lois falling when everything else is getting sucked into the black hole? And then Superman has to fly with all his might to make sure she doesn't get sucked into the black hole. This doesn't make any sense.
The black hole here is the Phantom Zone, and it's only working against things that were exposed to phantom energy. Notice Superman's face here? That's why he's flying with all his might. He's the one being pulled in, not Lois.
Well, this isn't like the Matrix Revolutions at all.
And the Matrix Revolutions isn't like Dragon Ball Z at all.
Ah, there goes HBO again.
Here's an idea, CinemaSins. How about just making a joke and moving on? Why is it that you have to make a joke and then consider that lame joke a sin of the film? Is it because your jokes wouldn't have the same effect if you didn't tell people when to laugh by using a ding sound effect? Might want to get better jokes.
Superman really had no choice here if he wanted to save those humans. I mean, it's not like he could have just gouged out Zod's eyes, or merely paralyzed him by breaking his spine, or thrown him across the room and kept fighting the fight he was winning, or used his ice breath power he somehow didn't discover in this movie to freeze Zod's heat ray, or even Zod himself.
While we're at it, let's talk about how the plot could have been completely different because you didn't like how certain things happened. I mean, what the hell is this complaint? This is how the story went because it's how the writers wrote it. If you could do any better, you'd be making movies, not bitching about them on YouTube.
This first sin is for you using the theatrical cut in your review, but later demonstrating knowledge of the Ultimate Edition of this film. Not only that, you made this video in August of 2016 and the Ultimate Edition came out on Blu-ray in July 2016, so there's no excuse. The Ultimate Edition explains quite a few things you have a problem with in this video, so I'll probably reference it once or twice.
Wait, Future Birdman. I didn't get a chance to prime everyone and let them know that we'd be working together on this before the video started, so that those people that didn't want to watch this because of your voice could just exit out of the video.
Fuck those people.
There was a time above.
Let me ask everyone a question. If every screenwriter grows up being told not to put narration in their movie unless it enhances the story, then why does every screenwriter put narration that doesn't enhance the story into their screenplays?
With you being from the Hollywood of the South, Tennessee, which film school did you go to that told you that bullshit?
For the third time in 3 Batman franchises, we get the dead parent origin story.
With the way you send movies, this is actually needed. Didn't you send Infinity War for Spider-Man displaying spider sense, even though the Raimi films, the two Amazing Spider-Man films, the 1990s cartoon, Spider-Man Strikes Back, and Civil War, all showing you that the character has that ability?
I guess they did try to warn us at the beginning.
Here's something present Birdman forgot to mention. In the Justice League video, you pretended to not have seen this production studio before.
Never seen a production studio named as a direct warning of a movie before.
Except this sin proves that you did. You dirtbag.
Also, this is the type of theater that plays the 1940 film The Mark of Zorro, but also coming soon, because this is 1981 after all, Excalibur.
Pointing things out on the screen, cliche.
Bruce falls into a hole that would kill most people, and he's not Batman yet, and yippee, the Batcave!
When you say that the fall will kill most people, you're implying that there are people that will survive. Bruce is one of those.
If he wanted to steal the pearls, why'd he intentionally f*** up the necklace by pulling this gun bull? Now he'll have to pick them out of the rich people blood.
The movie never suggests that Joe Chill wanted Martha's pearls. All he did was pull a gun on them. Thomas and Martha are famous, even in 1981. He could have simply wanted the cash that was on them, or to just kill them.
Fucking what?
This is a recurring dream, an idyllic representation of how Bruce got out of the Batcave. The movie is not suggesting that Bruce could fly, you simpleton.
In the middle of all this bull, Bruce really thought it was a good idea to take a private helicopter into Metropolis for some reason.
Or Bruce was already on the helicopter heading back to Gotham when Zod began his fight with Clark and simply asked the pilot to turn around. He does have a financial building in Metropolis.
Here's Bruce Wayne landing in Metropolis and immediately getting into his private vehicle, a Jeep fucking Renegade, the very definition of a common middle-class vehicle.
Hey, do you see these blinking thingies on the top of the car here? They suggest that this is some sort of emergency or government car, not Bruce Wayne's private vehicle. He commandeered the Jeep is what I'm saying.
Whatever mobile network these people are using is apparently alien attack proof, and here I lose my signal when I'm under an umbrella.
Then stop using Metro PCS.
In the middle of a dust cloud, from ground level and without any visual enhancement gear on, how the hell can Bruce clearly see these two fighting? He barely saw the girl right next to him.
The movie isn't implying that Bruce can see Zod and Superman. That's for the benefit of the audience. Even if it weren't, it's Batman. I was told by his fanboys that the dude can literally do anything.
Little girl who lost her mother stands here waiting for Bruce Wayne hugs because she knows how close the Wayne logo sign is and how cool a shot it'll make.
Or the little girl is grateful that Bruce just saved her from being crushed.
The somewhere is implied by simply saying it's the Indian Ocean.
Aren't you just upset that you couldn't say, in case you confuse it with the Native American Ocean? Because I think you are.
Is it ever explained how this Kryptonian vessel full of kryptonite crash-landed in the Indian fucking Ocean?
Yes, in Man of Steel, a movie you sinned already.
In case you confused it with Naomi Judd.
Damn, I can't even pretend to laugh at this shit.
Superman shows up out of nowhere, because I guess he can sense when Lois is in danger. And don't give me that he was following the beacon crap, because if he was really interested in all this, he'd already be there.
Actually, Lois was trying to do her job, so Superman wouldn't have already been there. He waited for things to go south.
We'll just assume Clark took his phone out of his pocket before this, because otherwise Superman is addicted to smartphones.
Most smartphones in 2016 were water resistant, if not outright waterproof. Wait, why the hell is this a sin of this movie? Is this the satire that CinemaSins' fans always try to claim I don't get?
I mean, how do you build this luxurious bachelor pad without skilled contractors who you then either need to pay off or kill? My biggest issue with any Batman story, actually. Someone explain to me how Alfred and Bruce alone designed and built this shit, please.
So, what you're asking for in this 3-hour movie is an explanation for how the Batcave was built. Okay, so how does not having this information impact this film negatively again?
Feels like Bruce would have been wise to Superman and his secret identity long ago, being the best detective in the world and all, but this movie would have you believe that Wayne really only got interested in this guy after he helped destroy a whole city.
Clark didn't become famous as the Superman until Zod and Feora attacked Smallville and Metropolis, the ending of which happened at the beginning of this movie. Batman is right on it, like he always is.
Many believe the mark of the Bat brand in prison, essentially, is a death sentence.
What a bunch of bullshit. Someone can make that observation after that huge sample size of one person got beat up in prison? And don't child molesters usually get beaten in jail anyway? I smell manufactured tension.
Except the film points out that at least 18 people have been killed as a result of being branded by Batman.
Looks like basically everyone has been breaking Fight Club's first 2 rules.
Jeremy makes a pop culture Hey, it was my turn. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Crime wave in Gotham. Other breaking news. Water wet.
Okay, Perry White is basically just a dick, dismissing a story about a vigilante in Gotham as completely unnewsworthy while asking for an update on a story about football. Why can't both stories be interesting to the public?
Batman has been a fixture in Gotham for 20 years. Clark only recently got this job in this city, so he's the only one that's unaware of Batman and crime in Gotham. In other words,
water wet.
You can call me whatever you like. Take a bucket of piss and call it Granny's peach tea.
Aside from being a fantastically stupid line, it's made even worse by only being here to give us some kind of supposed payoff later at the hearing. But most of all, what the f*** does that even mean? Are you the bucket of piss in this analogy?
How is it that you heard what she said and didn't realize that her point was that she knows what he's trying to do with the kryptonite and that it doesn't matter what Luthor calls his nefarious plans?
Second dream sequence is necessary to show how f***ed up Bruce is, but including yet another jump scare is necessary to show what an asshole this movie is.
The dream sequences show that Batman is just as mentally disturbed as the people he throws into Arkham Asylum, a subtle yet pertinent detail from the comics.
A movie that would have been much better than this is given mere Easter egg treatment, because that's fun.
Didn't you complain earlier about the Batman origin thing? Now you're asking for the movie to tell us the story under the Red Hood already did. Try to keep up, scrub.
I like how Clark heard Bruce's radio communications, but did nothing to investigate it. Superman is lazy.
I'd like to point out that Jeremy demonstrates here that he absolutely knows that Clark can hear Bruce in Alfred's radio conversation, but will attempt to pretend that he doesn't know this later.
Bruce Wayne meets Clark Kent.
Lex Luthor knows why this would be a momentous occasion, but God help you if you want an explanation for why he knows what nobody else does.
The movie goes out of its way to show that Luthor already knows the identity of Superman. He has files on 4 other metahumans, so this isn't a huge stretch. Lois Lane was able to easily figure out Superman's identity, and although she's fairly intelligent, Lex Luthor makes her look like, well, you.
90% of people believe in a higher power. And
I'm gonna need a source on that statistic, dude.
I got you. Here's a Gallup poll from 2014 and 16 showing that 90% of Americans believe in a higher power, and it's clear that he's referring to Americans.
On this earth, every act is a political act.
Even twerking?
Ever heard of cultural appropriation?
I'm glad Superman saved these astronauts, but this scene is really pessimistic about the state of space travel and successful rocket launches, no?
How? They only show one rocket launch in this film, and it just happens to be the one that failed. According to the website Spaceflight 101, there were 90 launch attempts in 2017, and 6 were failures. It's rare, but it does happen.
Using Neil deGrasse Tyson for your own personal projects.
I was tempted to remove a sin here for being self-referential, but I'm sinning you for being able to get Neil deGrasse Tyson in one of your videos. I mean, sure, people say Birdman sounds just like Neil, but It's just not the same.
I'd just like to know how Bruce is hallucinating the Flash right now, giving him important information and advertising the standalone movie all at once. Does Bruce have soothsaying powers?
Bruce is not hallucinating right now. Future Flash is using the cosmic treadmill to go back to the past to warn Bruce about a coming event, very likely Darkseid. Hey FB, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. How did you come back from the future? Well, it's a long story, but the short version is, I was suddenly in this weird place where they overused the letter U. There was a nice guy there who promised me biscuits, but they turned out to be horribly dry cookies. We spent a lot of time making YouTube videos together. Anyway, he had this glowing green rock on the shelf that I was looking at, and then the next thing I know, I'm looking at my younger self when I was making the Cloverfield Paradox video.
Actually, you weren't looking at it. You took it and ran out of the door screaming, "I'm gonna be a Time Lord," whilst also calling me a Dalek.
Grayson, if we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Math is not one of Bruce's strong suits.
But this isn't a question of math. What Bruce is saying here is that even if there is a small chance of Supes being evil, they have to prepare for that small possibility. This is literally how Batman does everything.
Where does he go?
Why do you continue to employ him?
Well, he's not Craig and he wasn't stealing boxes, so you can't fire him on his day off.
Superman, who definitely knew some shit was going down here tonight, didn't bother to simply talk to Batman before all this started. Essentially, you're telling me he's omniscient enough to be here, he's omniscient enough to save a rocket from an explosion for Christ's sake, but decided to enter the scene at this very moment because it's better for the drama.
Wrong. Superman has super senses, specifically super hearing. He heard all of this going down and figured Batman had something to do with it. He's been tracking Batman for a while now.
Also, why not do this out of the gate, instead of spending weeks or months investigative journalisming Batman as Clark Kent?
This is what I was referring to earlier. Jeremy has knowledge of the Ultimate Edition and selectively pretends he doesn't. The theatrical cut made it seem like Clark was simply obsessed with Batman, but not doing any real legwork. To answer your question though, Batman had not been doing any Batmaning for a little while, as Alfred was trying to fix his cowl. This incident allowed Superman to find Batman.
Superman visits Kansas at the perfect time the world's planetarium is open.
This is how the sky always is. The only reason people in the city never see this is due to copious light pollution. But trust me, the night sky always looks like this.
Somebody wanted Superman to look guilty.
I'm still not sure how blowing away a whole bunch of dudes with special bullets is supposed to implicate Superman. This whole story reeks of bullshit.
That's because, true to form, you're not paying attention. The bullet side story is Lois figuring out Lex Luthor orchestrated the events in Africa in order to frame Superman. This is another one of those scenes that prove Lex already knows who Superman is and was using Lois as bait.
But how could they know that he'd show up in the middle of the desert?
Lois asks a very good question that is never answered. In fact, the only thing she's concerned about in this revelation is that Superman is going to show up at the Capitol building, and she suspects something's about to go down. But the how does Superman know to show up in the right place question is better left answered by other movies in the Justice League franchise once the screenwriters come up with a good enough excuse.
Firstly, as Future Birdman just told you, this scene is showing that Lois figures out Lex is behind the African incident, and that Lex had been attempting to use her to frame Superman. The answer to how Supes always knows where she is that he has super hearing. When she struggles or is crying out for help, he can hear her, and he's always specifically listening for her as she tends to get in trouble.
How did he know when she'd spot the label on her glass to be able to time this bomb blast?
But he didn't know. June had a bit of time before the bomb exploded after she discovered the tea.
Movie skips over what would have been a much more entertaining Batman breaks into LexCorp scene to give us Superman walking through the Capitol into a courtroom.
That's kind of the mystique of Batman, that you never see what he does or how he does it. What's next? You're going to ask the movie to show how he disappears when people turn around?
How does Lex know there's a pool of water ooze on this ship? And how does he know standing in it not only won't kill him, it'll do something amazing to the body of Zod? Lex is omniscient enough that I wonder why he struggles against Superman and Batman at all, actually.
This exact scene shows Lex asking the computer to teach him everything.
Very well. Let's begin. The Kryptonian archive contains knowledge from 100,000 different worlds.
Good. Teach me.
Bruce is a dick to weights.
Jeremy is a Planet Fitness member.
Why doesn't Superman have the same in-trouble radar for his mom that he seems to have for Lois?
Because his mother lives in relatively peaceful Kansas and doesn't seem to get herself into trouble as often as Lois, so Supes isn't specifically listening out for her.
Yeah, I'll set my bat booby trap right here, blocks if not miles from the start of my fight with Superman, because I know for a fact I can direct the fight back to this spot for a whammy.
Blocks and miles? The spear is literally in the same building where the fight takes place.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gotham and Metropolis are a mile apart. You're welcome.
This, along with the previous sin, proves that Jeremy doesn't know what a mile is.
Also, it is just across the bay, but while Gotham is having torrential rain and storms, the weather in Metropolis is just fucking peachy.
Wait a minute, you think that if it's raining in one place, that weather also has to be the same in another place? To illustrate my point, somewhere in the world it is currently raining. Somewhere else in the world it is not raining. In between those 2 points, there is an area where it's raining on one side and not on the other. Do you get it?
Lois in danger in the Middle East? Or later in this climax when trapped in a box? Superman hears it above all the noise of the world. Lois is kidnapped, Superman hears nothing.
Because she currently isn't making any noise or struggling.
Oh look, he can hear her falling, but he couldn't hear her being kidnapped the last 30 minutes of her life. What a selective power.
Well, in one scene she was sitting quietly, in the other she was screaming.
Superman just leaves Lois here.
What's your point? It's completely safe down here as Lex is on the building and his goons are busy kidnapping Martha. Oh, fuck it. Jeremy points out things on the screen cliché.
What we call God depends upon our tribe, Clark Joe.
Superman lets Lex talk long enough for Lex to reveal he's got Clark's mom, instead of just obliterating him instantly, as he should have and would have really done.
When you say would have, what are you referring to? Up to this point, Superman has not killed or beat up any humans in this film or Man of Steel. If you're attempting to invoke the comics, Superman almost always hears out what the villain has to say. Hell, in Man of Steel, he listened to Zod give his whole spiel after he stopped the World Engine. This is who Superman is.
Don't you know? I mean, you seem to find Lois no problem. Do you only have a homing beacon on her?
Jesus Christ. Superman relies on sound to find Lois. When you see the scene of Martha being tied up, she's sitting quietly.
Looks like Miles Dyson still hasn't learned his lesson about not creating Terminators, even after he died in the second movie.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the film cliche.
Here I am.
Let's talk about Batman's plan. Sure, Superman told him,
Next time they shine your light in the sky, don't go to it.
There are numerous problems with this, though. First off, did Bruce forget that Superman was in hiding after the Capitol building bombing? Did he really think their petty squabble was going to lure him out?
No, because Bruce didn't know Superman went to the Mountain of Solitude. His assumption has always been that Superman is evil. Why the hell would he think he was hiding?
Bruce! When did these assholes learn each other's secret identity? Was it at the party?
Remember when I said I'd like to point out that Jeremy specifically stated that he realized Clark could hear Bruce and Alfred talking over the radio at the party? Not to mention Superman has X-ray vision and can clearly see through Batman's mask.
But here's the rub. Lex Luthor also has to know that both Superman and Batman know each other's secret identities for his plan to work. If Lex tells Superman to kill Batman, and if Batman isn't lying in wait for Superman at this moment, then Superman has to find Bruce Wayne, and that's if he knows Batman is Bruce. That's a lot of ifs.
This is some of the worst film analysis I've ever heard. Lex's plan does not require Batman and Superman to know each other's identities. Lex was waiting for Batman to show up in order to enact the kidnapping of Martha Kent in Lois Lane. Then he sent Superman to kill Batman, specifically telling him to bring him the head of the Bat, not Bruce. This does not require them to know each other. Where the hell do you come up with these things? Because it's like you watched a completely different movie than everyone else did.
Ah, Kryptonite, the unfortunate repetitive writer's crutch that plagues nearly all Superman movies. How much does this miss diminish Superman's powers? We have no idea and are never told, though it's safe to assume it's enough to make a Batman-Superman fight viable, which I would think would mean a lot.
Saying we have no idea and are never told is dangerously close to give me exposition, something you are known to sin. Not only that, the film does exactly what you want, shows you that this mist has a temporary weakening effect on his powers, specifically his invulnerability.
Oh look, Batman was totally able to lead the battle to this spot, even though that's goddamn impossible. It might be the stupidest thing in this movie, which is saying something.
If you were paying attention, you'd have realized that they were fighting in the building where the spear was, and that Batman threw Superman down a stairwell and dragged him to this spot. It's only impossible in that weirdo film that you watched, but if you join us over here in watching Batman v Superman, you might understand some of these things.
You're letting him kill Martha!
God damn it. First off, who calls their mother by their real name in this situation? This is maybe the biggest scene in the whole movie.
It's very likely that Clark was attempting to tell him his mother's name in the hope that Batman would save her after he kills him. If I ask you who your mother was, you tell me her name, right?
Second off, god damn it, because Clark and Bruce both have mothers named Martha, Batman decides to let Superman live.
No. Batman lets Superman live after Lois reveals that Clark has a mother, humanizing him. He stops because he realizes that he's wrong about Superman being an evil, soulless alien.
I'm a friend of your son's.
I figured. The cape?
This is the only moment of levity in the entire film, and that makes it worth a sin of omission.
Jeremy sins something he likes cliche. Loosely, but it still counts.
A character I respect suddenly turns stupid and throws this crypto spear into this water, thinking that over time no one will ever find it, and so that the movie will have an ex machina once Doomsday shows up.
Dude, this is not a Deus Ex Machina. A Deus Ex Machina is a previously unseen narrative device that neatly solves all the issues of a story. Because the film explicitly sets up the spear and its ability to kill Kryptonians, it is by definition not a Deus Ex Machina.
The blood of my blood.
Superman just stands around while he waits for Luthor to do the next thing, instead of throwing him around the world 50 times or just taking him to jail.
I think I'm willing to forgive Superman considering there is a giant fucking space monster being born.
I'm saying it's unkillable.
And I know that because I'm sitting in an office and we've tried one thing to kill it.
Yeah, and that one thing was the strongest weapon the United States government has. A nuke.
Also, Wonder Woman Ex Machina. She just got off the plane, was able to dress up, get to the scene, and know exactly what to do just in time.
That's not what Deus Ex Machina means.
Also, the fight Wonder Woman saw was happening in Metropolis, and this is now happening in Gotham, so f*** you, movie.
Yeah, but according to you, they're only a mile apart.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
Really, Bruce? You've seen her and interacted with her a half dozen times at this point. What is this line except scripted hilarity that doesn't square with the script?
What he meant was, he thought that Wonder Woman was Kryptonian, considering she's taking on Doomsday and is not instantly putty. This is his first time seeing Diana in combat, genius.
This movie.
Fuck this laugh.
Superman can't just javelin this thing into Doomsday's heart. He has to crash into him to do it, so that the movie can have its fake death scene.
Doomsday is Kryptonian. He's just as fast as Clark, so if he threw it at him, he may have simply caught it or dodged it.
Could this possibly be the most insulting part of the movie? The guy who looks like Superman with glasses died on the same night as Superman and still no connection?
What gets me is that you say this but question how the greatest detective in the world knew Clark was Superman.
It's a movie funeral, so definitely add some bagpipes, because Superman was so Scottish and such.
The bagpipes were played because the military was honoring him as a soldier. It's become tradition at military, police, and firefighter funerals because, historically, many Irish immigrants joined the military, police force, or firefighting brigade. If someone was killed in the line of duty, they would play the bagpipes. They use Scottish ones because they're louder.
He's hungry. He's found us.
Who the f***? You know what? There's no way Lex had yet another monster in mind after making Doomsday and coming up with the plan to get Batman and Superman to fight.
Yeah, if you'd done the goddamn Ultimate Edition, you'd know who he was talking about. Even though CinemaSins is valued at roughly $4 million a year, you had to skimp and get the $5 cheaper Standard Edition, didn't you? And you have the nerve to have a Patreon. Speaking of Patreon,
43 seconds of Justice Legos.
If we're going to do the whole X seconds of logos thing, can we at least get X right? It's 44 seconds, not 43. I know because Baramy told me so. Holy 44 seconds of logos. Marvel sure has outdone themselves this time. I mean, this is 10% of the movie's runtime.
DC Comics. Why are we rehashing Superman's death again? It's not like this version of Justice League isn't going to bring him back. So why do we even care that this happens? I mean, Batman movies stopped showing Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed after the first time they did that back in 1989, right? Right?
Why show Superman's death? Do you not realize this is the director's cut of this movie? Meaning there's a ton of extra and relevant content here that was cut because death, Joss Whedon, and WB fucking suck? Okay, Whedon is okay when he's doing Firefly things, but still, Superman's death is entirely relevant to this story, and this scene showed that Supes' death cry was a beacon of sorts that let the mother boxes know the Earth's protector is no longer alive.
Don't worry, folks. If this evil alien super being comes back to life after Superman has stabbed it with kryptonite, Batman is here at the ready to grapple hook it back to death.
It's almost like that isn't a grapple hook, but a gun that launched the kryptonite at Zod's face or something.
Also, I get it. The greatest superhero in the world looks like he's pretty f***ing hurt, maybe even dying. But he's still alive now, and currently screaming in pain. Batman and Diana have been all over this fight up until now, so why aren't they at least moving that way to try and help?
This is a death cry. I know it isn't canon, but didn't you see the scene in Superman Returns where even doctors tried to help Clark, but they couldn't even penetrate his skin because he's Superman? Yeah, what the hell do you expect Bruce and Diana to do here exactly?
Zack Snyder thought the only thing that would make the whole mother box situation more nonsensical is to stick one of those powerful motherfuckers in a f***ing coat closet.
You're mixing realities here. Zack Snyder is the director. He exists in the real world. The mother boxes exist in the fictional world. That means that Zack didn't stick a powerful item in a closet, a character did. I know this sounds like I'm being pedantic, and I am, but Jeremy does this all the time, and it's why his sins don't make sense. You see, he's sinning Zack Snyder for something a character in a story does. This is like sinning J.K. Rowling because Neville forgets the password to the Gryffindor common room.
Man, Superman's screams of anguish are so powerful that they can make it all the way to Gotham City, which we know is and has always been a short distance across the bay from Metropolis. The comics have long been clear that this is a San Francisco, Oakland-like situation.
What was this sin for? Superman's super voice, or that Gotham and Metropolis have always been shown to be close in the comics? Because they have. You literally just stated facts and counted that as a sin.
Doesn't Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor seem exactly like the kind of guy who would be cracking wise right now about how he's standing navel deep in a pool of alien goo water?
No?
Why is Superman's hollering making it only to the characters we know in this universe? Can normal humans hear them? Why is it even necessary for the metas to take note of this strange noise? Don't they watch the news? According to the end of the last movie, every network was covering that f***ing fight between the discount Avengers and Abomination.
What a stupid-ass question. They literally just showed a scene of Superman's voice traveling through a cityscape. Do you honestly think regular people in those buildings didn't hear that? Also, I'd like to point out to the idiots that can't recognize a parody, when Baramy was calling this movie a Marvel movie, now you know where that comes from. It's almost like a parody is making fun of something that actually exists.
Man, whoever piloted this drone through all this CGI deserves a raise. I see they have their own hockey arena in Themyscira.
Yes, I get that these are jokes, and heck, the first one was even funny. But earlier in this video, you made a joke that wasn't actually a sin of this movie and didn't count it on the sin counter. I was almost proud of you for taking my advice and just making a joke and moving on. But why didn't you do that here? Clearly, these aren't things actually wrong with this movie, so I will continue to say you should have a separate counter for jokes and one for sins.
Do these warriors seriously spend all day, every day, just standing around this mother box? I know, it's important and stuff, but do all these ladies have to guard it? Hell, the one in the U.S. has apparently been hanging out with the snow boots and the Land's End jackets for the last millennium, and it's been fine until now.
They weren't always here. The Amazons have gathered around this box because it has shown signs of coming back online. Or to life. Whatever, you know what the I mean.
This is Bruce Wayne. This movie thinks Bruce Wayne would camp out on a snowy mountaintop with a small fire and a horse, and this movie is already funnier than the 40-year-old virgin.
I think the fact that a non-comic book reader like yourself thinks that he wouldn't is even funnier. Seriously, what the hell do you know about this comic book character? The books don't matter, remember?
I see now why we needed the full 4-hour cut of this film, so that we could fully appreciate the entire fucking journey Bruce takes to Hoth to find Arthur. Seriously, the entirety of the Lord of the Rings franchise had less footage of walking in the mountains than this opening scene.
I'm gonna ignore you pronouncing Arthur as Earther, and even give you a pass on the pop culture references to point out that I will be periodically playing my parody version of this video at certain points of this deconstruction of CinemaSins, and treat them as sins of CinemaSins. Why? Well, because I'm almost certain Baramy's was funnier, and to point out how he predicted what Jeremy would say. For instance, way too many minutes of bat walking. I thought Batman was rich. What the f*** is he doing hiking on this treacherous terrain? Where's that flying torso he used to remove that Bombane setup? Why do these movies pretend like the previous movies never happened?
Yep, because this is how movies normally go.
It's almost like movies are art, and all art should be as unique as possible. I can't believe you're sending a movie for not being like other movies. Also, that f***ing laugh.
Is there a reason we're getting the perspective of this conversation through a dirty-ass interior window? Are we peeping on these people? That just feels weird, even for this movie.
This coming from the dude that said the 10-year-old Emma Watson wasn't old enough to be hot yet. Also, what?
How dare this dog speak to us like children?
What's up this guy's ass? Gigli here just offered the town $25,000 to talk to Aquaman, and doesn't look like he's f***ing around at all. Sure, he's asking questions, but is he posing any threat to the village at all that would get this elder all fired up?
Unsurprisingly, CinemaSins didn't get the point of the scene. Firstly, these people are trying to protect Aquaman's identity by lying about not knowing anything about him. Secondly, in order to do that, they have to make him seem like a myth or a children's story. That's what the line was. How dare you speak to us like children by making up stories about gods and magical watermen? I mean, he basically says exactly that in the part of the scene you cut out.
How dare this dog speak to us like children? Oh, magical man from the sea. We are poor, not stupid.
Dressed like a bat. You're out of your mind, Bruce Wayne.
Maybe, but not because he dresses like a bat, right?
Look, I'm not one to shit on Batman and his fanboys. Okay, yes I am. But a grown man that dresses like a bat to scare criminals is kind of crazy when you sit down and think about it. Like, who's scared of bats? I mean, Daredevil does this concept way better with his eyes closed. Wait.
Sea shanties.
Baramy did it better.
Skip! You may think this cut of the film was rated R because of some stray f***s or extra violent content, but I know that it was spiced up by all this hot foreclosure action. God, I'm getting a wreck just looking at this real estate sign.
Jeremy says boner.
Is this a thing? Not Superman specifically, but hanging commemorative banners on this bridge in England? Is that a thing? If the movie invented it, that's a sin. If it's a normal thing, but the movie perverted it for fictional Superman, that's a sin.
So pretty much everything's a sin, which of course means this mindset is also a sin. See? I could play that game too.
Come and witness the excitement of an entire heist seen via briefcase cam.
I find this particular sin peculiar because the last time you sinned this movie, you were really concerned about Diana being shot from this perspective. Now that you realize all the people in this scene were shot in this way, are you going to retroactively remove a sin for being an overzealous, mad-at-nothing SJW? No? Well, shit.
Movie sure does spend an inordinate amount of time on this failed heist, especially early on. I guess it's supposed to show how brazen criminals are now that Superman is gone and how badass Wonder Woman is, but we already know that shit. The dick does this have to do with any of the rest of the main narrative?
This scene, and others like it, is showing what Diana is up to currently. It has nothing to do with criminals or brazen now that Superman is gone, because this is in the UK. Superman is generally doing the hero thing in America. He's not going to be stopping petty crimes in another country.
Who are you? The lasso of Hastia compels you to reveal the truth.
Do you need to explain the truth rope to the person you're using the truth rope on, or do you just need the truth?
I have a sneaking suspicion that line was thrown in just for you, CinemaSins, because otherwise you'd be all,
Why doesn't he tell her the truth? Why doesn't he lie? Why doesn't he look under her skirt? Because that's something I would do, especially if she were 10.
This scene of Wonder Woman kicking all the ass in the room kicks, well, all the ass. And I want to remove a sin. I really do. But we get so f***ing little of this moving forward in this movie, which definitely has room for it. And I'm just pissed enough to add 5 instead.
Jeremy sins something he likes cliche. Yes! Yes! That was badass!
Wonder Woman commits murder in front of a bunch of school children. Cool.
The fact that you consider this a sin is hilarious. These kids were literally being shot at by these terrorists. He's lucky this wasn't in Inglewood, because those kids bust back.
Oh yeah, baby. This dude took a magic carpet ride, arriving on an ear-splitting Loudon boomer just to meet these straight-shooting women to tell them that he's born to be wild.
Well, I've only got one thing to say about that.
Stay off the weed! Stay off the weed! Stay off the weed!
I have come to enlighten you to the great darkness.
Honestly, a little more darkness here would have helped you look more realistic. As it is, you look like a 3D poster I might find at Spencer Gifts after all the reasonable shoppers have made their purchases.
Oh, be nice. The CGI in this version is way better than this.
As I watch this battle between parademons and Wonder Woman, I'm left with the thought that sometimes movies are trimmed down for a reason.
You're not entirely wrong for this sentiment. However, you're sending a movie that exists to literally show everything that was shot and filmed because the fans asked for it. This is not a legitimate sin. And I want to ask why we do this with comic book movies. Do we honestly believe that every single shot in The Godfather Part 2 was absolutely necessary to tell the story it did? The answer is no, but you're not going to say that about a movie like that anyway. My question is, why?
As the flying thing takes the glowing box from the horse-riding archer lady, I'm left to wonder, what movie am I even watching again?
Well, let's see. An insectoid alien is fighting earthly warrior women to retrieve alien technology that could spell doom for the entire world. Sounds exactly like a comic book to me.
Cut it! Go!
God damn, when are the Transformers gonna show up and fucking help these people?
That's not a sin for the movie. That's you making an obscure I mean, Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
I guess Steppenwolf can summon his own Bifrost anytime he needs to, but he uses it so rarely that I'm convinced every time he does it, it lowers his sperm count or something.
Yes, I get the silly joke, but The issue you're attempting to point out here is that Steppenwolf isn't using a useful ability. The problem is that boom tubes are created by the mother boxes. It's not something Steppenwolf can just turn on and off without utilizing them.
Follow the scent of the mother boxes. Find the missing two.
You, Wolfie, do it yourself. This is exactly as useless as Thanos sending out Ebony Maw, Proxima Midnight, and who's the other guy? Jack Black? I don't know. Anyway, this outsourcing of the most important task in the world to this villain.
Are you pretending you haven't seen a movie you're sinning again? Steppenwolf does do it himself. He shows up at every mother box and takes them personally. He's asking his minions to find them, not retrieve them. Not to mention Darkseid didn't outsource this task to him. Steppenwolf is doing this to get back in Darkseid's good graces.
It's still weird to me that this dude is named Steppenwolf instead of Prism Guy or Reflector Man. Morphin' Mighty Mo! Using a pocket memo cassette voice recorder in the 21st fucking century.
Says the guy that still uses a Zoom H2N handy recorder for his YouTube videos. How is it you're the one with all the money and subscribers, but I'm the one with the Neumann? Step your game up, Jeremy Scott.
I don't care if it's a weekday, holiday, Bastille Day, Thanksgiving Day, Training Day, Boxing Day, or Doris Day. Ain't no fucking way there's not a giant line queued up outside the Louvre.
Let me introduce you to my homie 2020 and his girlfriend COVID. Okay, I know what some smartass in the comment section wants to say. But Birdman, this movie didn't experience 2020, blah, blah, blah. I'll remind you that Jeremy said no fucking way. Here's a way.
I know the Louvre is full of ancient art, but this tube TV set seems like it's the most outdated item in this entire museum.
Yeah, but it works and it fits in the corner where they need it to fit. Imagine trying to put a 16:9 monitor in that space. That shit would be smaller than your penis.
Yes!
I know, Jeremy, I'm pretty funny. But still, this fucking laugh.
Also, this is very much Wonder Woman the Mummy, and that'd be okay with me if Brendan Fraser were anywhere around here.
So it's a sin that a character who, in at least 3 movies now, has been characterized as a curator and procurer of ancient art, does a little bit of tomb raiding? Are you sinning characterization again, Willis?
I don't know exactly where this is, but I have to say their sweater game is strong, man. Like Ransom from Knives Out is even getting a boner looking at all this cable knit. Wait, am I taking a sin off, adding one, or just making an observation? F*** it, I got distracted. Since it was that easy to take me out of the movie, here's a sin.
I think it says more about you than the movie if you're getting distracted by turtleneck sweaters, hombre. Yeah, they're nice and all, but sweaters took you out of a comic book movie? Seriously? Also, Jeremy says boner.
Why does Arthur even drink? He's a goddamn god, right? There's no way he can get drunk, especially off a measly quarter bottle of whiskey. I know he's got a human side from his dad, but seems like the god part is much stronger, especially considering how his standalone movie turned out.
Jeremy does the thing that people always do to mixed children, force them to choose one side or the other. Listen, when you are mixed, you are both those things. Stop listening to idiots that say you're not black if you have a white parent. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's archaic nonsense that needs to die. Arthur is still a human, and considering he drinks, he very obviously can get drunk. Or hell, he might just like the taste.
I realize he's trying to set up the whole thing here with future bigger, badder, big bads, but this scene just makes Steppenwolf seem weak and sniveling, undercutting his supposed menacingness later on.
It absolutely does not. I mean, he bodied the Amazonians and lived to tell the tale. He is already certified in these streets. All this does is show the Darkseid is clearly a cut above this character. If the characters of this film struggle with Steppenwolf, then the movie has done its job of letting the audience know just how powerful Darkseid really is.
Prototype troop carrier.
I once knew a man who would have loved to fly it.
Goddamn, Diana! I know Steve Trevor had some dreamy eyes, but that was over a century ago. Move the f*** on.
As I'm going to explain to you in a more tiresome, irksome, and depressing-ass video that I stopped writing to write this one, Diana is a goddess. The thing about immortal beings is that they don't experience time in the way that we do. For her, a century is like yesterday.
Amazons before their betrayal and enslavement, and guardians from the stars.
Wait, did she just yada yada both the enslavement of the Amazonians and the emergence of the fucking Green Lantern? That shit seems pretty important, no?
No, she didn't. The Green Lantern Corps only has significance to us, the audience, because we know the comics, which is the reason I'm side-eyeing you right now, because you don't know shit about the comics. They're not impressive to Diana, is what I'm saying, and we got the spiel about the Amazonians' enslavement in the Wonder Woman movie. What, were you asleep? You know what? Never mind.
As Darkseid waged war on Earth.
Are we really still narrating over an hour into this thing?
Tell me, what's wrong with narration, narrator of CinemaSins?
Mother boxes?
Is Bruce seriously continuing to turn a fucking wrench while Diana is literally telling him about the end of the world?
Well, yeah. I'm Batman.
Oh shit, dude, you're back?
Oh, yeah.
Guess who's back? Back again. Batman's back. Here's a sin.
To conquer, 3 boxes have to synchronize and join together into the unity.
What the fucking balls are you talking about?
The Unity? Weren't you listening?
Zeus and his son Ares.
Every time Wonder Woman makes like old-timey mythology gods are real, it makes me laugh. But then it makes me angry that they aren't doing more to kick all the ass.
Jeremy continues to balk at the idea that mythological figures are a part of a comic book movie's reality. A comic book movie's reality. Not only that, he asks for Zeus to kick ass while showing a scene of him bodying some parademons, which is a part of a larger scene showing Zeus helping defeat Darkseid.
Wait, there's an experienced Lantern Corps person here? And he doesn't end the battle by snapping his fingers? The f***? Why would there be only one Lantern Corps person here anyway if this was such an important battle? And why did the one guy shoot a flimsy green laser out of his chest and then get beaten down like a chump instead of, oh, I don't know, unleashing the actual full power of the Green Lanterns against this bitch villain and ending it all right here and now? Green Lantern peeps are f***ing mega powerful, you dopes.
Whoa, does Jeremy think power rings are infinity stones or something? I'm not sure why he would assume a Green Lantern is more powerful than Zeus. Lanterns are powerful, but they're not winning a war by themselves. That's why it's the Green Lantern Corps. As for why there's only one here, this lantern was assigned to protect Earth. The Corps have many other things they need to worry about than a routine invasion by Apocalypse, which was the assumption because no one knew the anti-life equation was on Earth at that time. Earth is but one of 10,000 planets Eustace was attempting to conquer.
Guys, I know Darkseid is pretty fucking strong, but isn't Zeus like the gaudiest god to ever god? Sure, he's tied to Earth and shit, but he's Zeus. Shouldn't he be able to handle this shit by himself if he's this engaged? Can we get a ruling on the power differential of these two in the movie so I can have some fucking context?
The context is literally in the movie, though. They're showing that Zeus can't defeat Darkseid by himself. Zeus is powerful, but Darkseid requires multiple godlike characters to defeat him, and even then, Darkseid will usually come out on top. He's not heart of the universe Thanos, but this dude eats.
And that'll teach you to never blindly follow your evil leader into battle with our planet, even though you were previously a regular inhabitant of a planet and Darkseid turned you into this being. Ha ha! Suck my trident, you chode!
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Men, Atlanteans, and Amazons. Each would enshrine and guard one of the 3 sleeping mother boxes.
Sorry, give me a moment. I just need to laugh a bit. Hang on. I won't be long, I swear.
This fucking laugh. Granted, I laugh too, but at this laugh, not whatever Jeremy is laughing at, because I can't tell you what he's laughing at. So these sins are not only for the laugh, but also because it's apparently random.
Sure, this happens to everyone at some point. You lose something in the space between the seats when you're driving and you want to grab that shit before you forget it. But this asshole is driving this giant rig right through the heart of Central City. And while he's grabbing for his fucking burger, he decides to speed up the truck rather than pull over to the curb, which is completely clear. This is a bigger villain than Darkseid, Steppenwolf, and Joker together.
I think Baramies was funnier. Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Okay, this is a pretty rad scene, even if we've already been through Quicksilver's time in a bottle and Sweet Dream sequences in that other franchise. But my major issue is why Flash has to break the fucking glass. If he's this fast, can't he just open the door like a normal metahuman? He has time to be pervy about the flying lady and grab a hot dog later during the rescue. This poor pet store owner is going to have to fill out so many insurance forms.
He got you on this one too. Also predicted the Quicksilver quip as well. Christ, does every superhero movie need to have a Quicksilver scene? First it was Over the Hedge, then it was Sonic, and now Super Friends? Is there anything original in the MCU? Ah!
Oh, Cyborg used to play football, you say? In the snow? At night with a multi-million-dollar video scoreboard? Okay. I mean, it's your movie, so, well, take what you have to offer, I guess.
Man, you just say random things in these videos sometimes. What the hell was that? This is Gotham City University. Why wouldn't they have a multi-million-dollar scoreboard? This school is D1.
Thank God we got to see Cyborg score the game-winning touchdown in his collegiate career. Honestly, I would have been lost over this character arc if we hadn't seen him single-handedly lead the Dillon Panthers to victory and getting John Voight fired in the process.
It's at this point where you realize that CinemaSins is arbitrarily padding the runtime of this video. CinemaSins fanboys that come here to leave dislikes. Can you honestly say that this was something this video needed? Ponder that while I go to the Quickie Mart and grab some tampons for you guys. Be right back.
If you were there, Mom would still be alive.
Jesus, Vic, what kind of conclusion is this to jump to? If Dad had been there, you probably would have left in the same car at the same time after the game, with the same weather conditions that led to the same car slamming into your asses. I know Mom wasn't necessarily watching the road before the wreck, but you got T-boned. How the hell would Silas being there have changed anything?
Debatable. It's entirely possible adding another element to this mix could have caused them to go down a different road, like, say the father wanted a pizza on the way home, so they took a different route. Based on what actually happened, the mother was driving distracted due to her son's sadness. That sadness was caused by his father's absence.
Iron Man.
Jeremy sneezes, a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
In the world of ones and zeros, you are the absolute master.
Couldn't Silas have just said this to Victor? I know Victor's pissed at him, but if he's willing to listen to the tape, he could have listened to the actual person, right?
That is not how that works. Victor chose to listen to the tape on his time. He also chose not to entertain his father. How do you not see the difference?
Also, are we gonna just gloss over the fact that Silas gave the power of everything to a brooding, moody, hormonal dude in his early 20s? I know Victor was wise beyond his years before the accident, but he's still a young man, and he can literally control nukes now. Do we know what happens if he accidentally gets a cyboner?
No, we don't. But we do know what happens when you say that word.
Bruce Wayne throwing a batarang at this kid to force the kid to show that he is in fact the Flash may look cool, but it's still attempted murder.
Hell no. That not only looks cool, it is cool. Psh, attempted murder. Forcing us to listen to you laugh is attempted murder.
You're the Batman?
How does Barry know who Batman is, but doesn't recognize Bruce Wayne when he introduced himself earlier? Sure, Bats is famous, but he's not on the same level as one of the richest and most powerful playboys in the world, right?
Not for nothing, if Elon Musk was just sitting at my desk when I came home, I would also be like, what the fuck, bro? Moreover, why would Bruce Wayne be more interesting than Batman? A playboy or a real-life superhero? I'd like to think that most men would be more impressed at the latter.
God damn, this casual Bruce Wayne mobile is sexy as f***, and I want to f*** it as much as I want to drive it. Thrust! Thrust! This car f***s.
What kind of shit is that?
I lost someone I loved once.
I found him again in 1984, which I guess was before this, so I lost someone I loved twice is what I meant to say.
Yes, but isn't twice before?
You're looking at the hottest thing on earth.
That's what I said to my college.
Exact words I said to my prom date.
Hey, what the hell, man? That's kind of my thing.
And that's why he's single and you make YouTube video. Oh, right.
Who needs an actual CGI budget when you've got an underwater battle? Just scribble a few sketches down on your Microsoft Surface, color the background with some neon fog, bada bing, bada boom, done.
Here's another instance where I think Baramy did a superior job. Amber Heard.
Deus Aquamanica.
And this one too. Aquasimp.
I knew her.
Well, that makes one of us.
Is this really the time to have this conversation after battling the biggest bad to ever bad here and losing a precious Infinity Stone just seconds ago?
I'm just saying, to all the people that got mad at me for all the Marvel jokes in the parody, eat shit.
Oh, wow, they really just vanish.
Funny line, I guess, but Flash looks genuinely surprised that they're gone. And given how he can see everything super slowly, that realization makes less sense than Ezra Miller replacing Grant Gustin as this character.
First of all, Ezra didn't replace Grant. Grant does the TV show. DC does this little-known thing called being stupid and disconnects their movies from their TV shows when the TV shows should be doing the legwork that DC tries to skirt in an attempt at catching Marvel. Second, Flash, as shown in this universe, has to turn on his speed, meaning when he's choosing to move at our speed, he's just a normal dude. He was obviously caught up in what Gordon was saying and got distracted for a moment.
The Justice League of ass.
I fail to see literally anything wrong with this.
Thermal scan shows a cluster of people there.
And Alfred couldn't have told them about this until they got all the way to the bottom of the shaft.
This collection of words is really sinful. And I mean that in the biblical sense.
Right. Is there a plan?
They just climbed up 60 flights of stairs and had all this time to get over to the harbor. Why didn't they have this discussion until now? Even if we discount Cyborg's isolated demeanor, it's not like Wonder Woman and Bats wouldn't have a dialogue about how to do this mission, right?
Dude, who fucking cares? Why do you waste our time with this stuff? Obviously, the movie addressed the small percentage of audience members that need to know what the plan is in this scene. They just showed a scene where they didn't even know where they would be headed, nor what they would find there. They're not going to show superheroes climbing up a shaft discussing a plan. They do it here when they are where they need to be, because that's how you make movies. This is why you aren't a film creator and why no studio in their right mind wants to pick up the Ables. Except maybe Sony, because they're fucking idiots.
I heard about you. Didn't think you were real.
My college girlfriend said the same thing the first time she saw my...
Jeremy cut himself off here because he's apparently trying to beat me to the punch. But that's not how we do things here at Th3Birdman.
My college girlfriend said the same thing. Skip.
Oh, I'm really missing Superman right now.
Because you two were so close.
Right, except that's not what he meant, because missing doesn't always imply intimate familiarity. Remember, Superman was essentially worshipped on Earth, meaning Flash obviously knew of him and what he was capable of. He only saved the world twice. Also, Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
You'll die if you don't.
No! Cyborg goes full Star-Lord here, and you'd never go full Star-Lord.
Except Star-Lord got everyone snapped, and Cyborg actually saves the people here.
Amazon.
These are my exact words when I see a random-ass Camry pull up in my driveway and some stranger... Skip! I understand Flash not wanting to get involved, but what's Batman doing while Diana is having this staring contest with Steppenwolf?
Assessing the situation and not mindlessly jumping into the fray? You know, like Batman always does? I mean, he is clearly the only one here that isn't a metahuman. You would think you'd give him points for picking his shots.
A little quicker!
I've got this. Keep moving.
The fact that Flash isn't moving all the hostages out of the way by himself isn't the most insulting thing here. It's that he's depending on Cyborg to help, and he's not even using any of his special either. He could fly at least a few of these folks to the surface in no time, but he's trudging up the stairs like he's a goddamn tourist at the Arc de Triomphe.
I have to agree with you here. The fact that the Flash hasn't moved everyone to the surface by himself is already silly, but making Cyborg walk up the stairs with them is nonsensical. The hell was Snyder thinking here? That's like making Superman drive to Las Vegas.
Nightcrawler. Thought you'd never ask.
Yeah, and why didn't he until now?
Probably because the idea was to infiltrate the prison incognito-like. The Nightcrawler isn't exactly quiet, and they weren't trying to alert Steppenwolf to their presence.
See how he jumps around grabbing the debris? Why didn't he do this earlier with the humans?
Again, I agree with the previous sin, but sending Flash doing Flash things? This is the best part of the scene.
No! In the time that Flash had to say no, that motherfucker could have moved that rock, eaten a sandwich, checked the Yankee score, masturbated to completion, and taken a nap, but he needed Cyborg to save the day with a laser blasty save shot.
Yep, another idiotic shot by Snyder. He makes Flash, the fastest character in this movie, watch some debris about to fall on a person and yell no, as if he couldn't stop that shit himself. But you had to throw in some nonsensical sexual shit in this sin, so I'm conflicted. Here, I'll ding the ding, but I won't raise the sin count. See? I'm nice.
Sure, Diana couldn't kill this bitch with her godlike abilities, but maybe this 50 cal will do the trick.
I mean, it's a 50 cal. Step isn't invulnerable, which is why he's blocking his face with his axe.
What are we under right now?
Gotham Harbor.
I love these Q&As that are purely for the audience, even though we were literally told this less than 10 minutes ago. It's like being reminded that Aquaman is good at water, or that Flash is really fast, or that Jesse Eisenberg is a terrible Lex Luthor.
Oh, stop. You're the last person to be bitching about questions being answered purely for the audience. I guarantee by the end of this video, you're going to ask a dumbass question that is answered by paying attention. It happens every single video.
You're telling me that in this 9-hour marathon of a movie, they couldn't show us how Bruce and company got out of that flood situation just a minute ago? Cyborg flew away from the heroes that were in danger of drowning, and the next scene, they're just fine? Did the flooding stop for some reason? Is Gotham Harbor empty? What the absolute fucking man?
3 sins later, and you've already failed the challenge. Jeremy just asked, how did Flash, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Aquaman make it out of a flooding shaft? Wonder Woman can jump really high. Flash and Aquaman should be obvious. Batman just used a grappling hook at the beginning of this set piece. And you want me to believe you were incredulous about the film answering an easy question?
My lord.
Once again, Steppenwolf kneels and snivels and it undercuts this movie's finale, but I guess it does a good job of setting up a future sequel we will never see.
What are you not getting about the word hierarchy? How is Steppenwolf, a subordinate of Darkseid, undercut by kneeling to his vastly superior? That's like saying Hercules kneeling to Zeus makes Hercules less strong. No, it doesn't. This is how these morons at CinemaSins watch movies. They literally believe that showing respect to a superior makes that person seem weak. No, what this is doing is showing that Darkseid is that dude. Learn how to movie.
Find the third box, synchronize the unity, and when this world is scorched, I will come for my great prize.
Again with the outsourcing? This is like the most important what's-a-madoodle in the entire universe. Why wouldn't Darkseid be booking a JetBlue flight to Earth immediately?
Because Darkseid doesn't care about the mother boxes. He wants the anti-life equation. Also, once the Mother Box create the Unity, he can instantly teleport to Earth, as shown at the end of this movie you've already seen.
There's a dark spot in my data stream.
Look, it happens to men all the time. Sure, you're a little young, but it's never too early for an exam.
How do we know you're not working for them?
Maybe because he willingly joined you after some trepidation, and he brought you the third Mother Box and set it on a table between you all and literally asked for help? Red herring is red.
That's not a red herring at all. In order for something to be a red herring, the movie would have to be trying to fake out the viewer. Arthur is simply asking a question about a dude he just met for the first time, and that question is instantly dispelled because the scene answers that question. I swear you just throw out these terms that you clearly don't understand. Cliché, deus ex machina, intelligence. Crack open a dictionary, Johnny Tsunami.
The box has the power to reinstate anterior particle relationships.
What? What?
Anterior particles, in this context, are what things become after they have broken down. Due to the first law of thermodynamics, matter cannot be destroyed, only transformed. The problem is that humans don't have the ability to reconstitute matter that has been transformed, such as something that was burned in a fire. What Cyborg is explaining is that the Mother Box has the capability to restore matter that has been transformed, hence anterior particles. And don't think I forgot about that laugh.
Anybody with a match can turn a house to smoke.
Citation needed, Wonder Woman. A single match? Try lighting a house on fire with a single match and see how far you get. Especially if it's brick or stucco. I get the point you're trying to make.
Then stop, especially because you clearly don't know what you're talking about. Ignoring for the moment that no modern house is made completely of brick, bricks have moisture inside them, which can expand when exposed to the heat of a fire, and voila, destroyed brick house.
Who is it?
Martha.
She could have called, texted, emailed, or sent a letter, but instead, fake Clark's mom showed up right at Lois's door. And more importantly, why did you say that name?
So you correctly identify that this is the Martian Manhunter, but you also wonder why he didn't send a text or a call? Do you seriously not see the issue with that?
Also, why did this alien butthole choose to turn back into his regular form as soon as he got out in the hallway? What if Lois opened the door to get one more hug before Ma Kent left? What if Mrs. Hollingsworth from 5A was just returning home from her grocery run? What if Dick Bickle just got done with his shift at the laundromat and was searching for his keys outside his door? Why turn back into this body at all while you're around humans?
I'm always left wondering why you give sins to a film for something that could have, but didn't happen. What would you have done if that did happen? Give them a sin? You see why this is dumb?
There are 6, not 5. There's no us without him.
This plan is dumb. They held their own against Steppenwolf under the harbor, and that was without Arthur's help, and they didn't even work together. As Flash pointed out, there wasn't a fucking plan at all. I know the movie has to properly Justice League, but none of this discussion makes a lick of sense unless they got their asses kicked in the last battle, which they didn't.
Jeremy, the same guy that's been bitching about Steppenwolf bowing to Darkseid, has forgotten about Darkseid. In this scene, Batman specifically states that the Mother Boxes didn't awaken until Superman died, meaning they were afraid of Superman and not anyone else here. It's not about them holding their own versus Steppenwolf, which they barely did, by the way. It's about putting
pseudo-armor around the world, remember that?
If you can't bring down the charging bull, then don't wave the red cape at it.
The fuck? The red cape attracts a bull, but doesn't... I mean, even the best bullfighter can't guarantee they can bring down the bull because bulls are fucking unpredictable dicks. And the bullfighter is already in the ring with the bull before they wave the red cape. It's not like the bull is just walking by a stadium full of people minding his own business and suddenly someone appears and waves a red cape, which angers the bull, and then the competition begins.
Way to take a metaphor completely on its face. You probably thought I meant an actual face, too.
I know I've already given this movie a lot of shit about its length. There's a reason shit gets cut, man. The banter between Flash and Aquaman is pretty amusing, but do we really need to see the entirety of the journey of them moving Clark's body from Smallville to the ship? No, viewer. No, we do not.
Then watch the Whedon cut. It's not like this movie wasn't asked for by the fans or anything. I mean, you sat down to watch a director's cut and are complaining about it being a director's cut.
Even the Dark Knight didn't make their skyline as Chicago-y as this, and that was Chicago as f***. And also, isn't this Metropolis not Gotham? Is every big city in the DCEU based on Chicago?
I'm not even sure you know what you're trying to say here, but one thing I'd like to point out is that you're doing to DC what you do to Marvel, conflation of universes. Just like Blade and the Fantastic Four aren't MCU movies, The Dark Knight isn't a DCEU movie. So regardless if this scene set in Metropolis was filmed in the murder capital where they murder for capital, The Dark Knight being filmed there has nothing to do with anything.
The f*** is everyone looking at? There was supposedly a microbial leak or something that led to the civilian evacuation, so why would they think anything big would be happening in the research station? Do they expect Superman to come back to life? Have they all read this far into the script?
Probably because these military personnel are here creating a perimeter. If you know anything about rubbernecking, it's that people are always in my way in traffic. People are nosy.
You two lunatics better know what you're doing.
2 lunatics? As I recall, this is everyone's plan, and I'm pretty sure Arthur signed off on this too.
And I recall every line Arthur had during that scene being skeptical.
The box brought Victor back.
Victor wasn't dead. Life is either 1 or 0. It's to be or not to be. Not both. Even if Superman could return, who's to say that he could defeat them?
How the f*** do they know what they are doing? Is there an IKEA-like instruction booklet for reviving a super person?
Yes, this guy.
I don't understand why Flash has to run fast and time things when Cyborg is here, and he should easily be able to create the charge needed and time it perfectly. But we needed a tense scene, and many people in the comments will be happy to explain why I'm wrong, but the movie doesn't really explain it, so therefore I'm right.
You have tried to create a set of impossible parameters that the movie cannot meet, and then erroneously declare yourself right. Unfortunately for you, I exist. Your suggestion that Cyborg should be able to create the charge is the false portion of this premise. Even with the vast array of Victor's abilities, he has never been shown to generate an electrical charge. You seem to think all energy is functional energy. Chewed up food is energy, but you can't power a PC monitor with it, nor could you set your iPhone on fire and expect it to work, even though fire is energy. Do you see how you need the appropriate source of energy to power something? The movie explicitly states that capacitors are involved here, meaning electrical energy is needed, also meaning you're not right.
So wait, Cyborg is getting information about the future from touching a computer?
Barry is unwittingly giving Victor access to the Speed Force, which is allowing him to see the future. The same thing happened to Bruce in BVS when Barry tries to visit the past to warn Batman that Darkseid was coming. It's fairly vague, I'll give you that, but it's consistent with what we've already seen.
The lasso! It does nothing!
Except it does, because as was shown in Wonder Woman 1984, the lasso, in addition to forcing you to tell the truth, can also reveal the truth to someone. You should know that because you already made a video on that movie.
Kal-El, the last son of Krypton.
Yeah, the lasso and all the fighting didn't do the trick. Let's try words.
Again, Jeremy is pretending he didn't see Wonder Woman 2, a movie he did a video on 5 months ago.
Look, I know Batman is way slower than the other superheroes, but the research facility isn't that far away. He has grappling hooks that can swing him around like f***ing Spider-Man. He could have caught a ride with Flash, or he could have just boosted one of the cars nearby. The question remains, why the balls did it take him so long to get here?
You've manipulated this scene. Batman was already here during most of the fight with the Justice League. He is slower than everyone else, so he got here last, but you're making it seem as if he got here after everyone had already gotten taken out, and that's just not true. If you don't believe me, fire up your HBO Max and watch the scene for yourselves.
Clark. No.
First off, not to beat a dead horse, but why doesn't he just say Martha?
Because Batman was the one affected by the name Martha. I get that you thought this was clever, but you've got the meme backwards, my dude, especially since Superman doesn't remember anything but faces, and he barely remembers those. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't be here attacking Wonder Woman and Bats, because the last time he saw them, they were all friends.
The power of love is a curious thing. Make a Superman weep and a Batman sting.
Jeremy sings in a video cliche.
How can the same guy bring about the end of the Earth in 2 different franchises?
I'm pretty sure Miles Dyson wasn't the reason this motherbox called to Steppenwolf. That was the Justice League. Aren't you watching the movie that you're watching?
Holy shit, I can actually see the color blue in Batman's suit. Slap my ass and call me Susan. I'm taking a sin off. Ah, Kelly Clarkson!
Susan makes a 40-year-old virgin pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
I have a second chance, Lo.
Has Clark always called her Lo? I have to be honest, I've watched Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, both versions, and both versions of this movie multiple times, and I swear to f*** that I've never heard him use this nickname.
So? What the hell is even this sin? The movie is establishing right now that he does refer to her in this manner. You don't see their every waking moment together in those films, so obviously this is something he calls her in those moments.
Barry Allen was right here.
Flashing back to the Flash in a flashback without actually flashing to the flashback.
Aw, look at that. Jeremy pretending he wants to see a flashback in a movie he's been complaining about the length of.
Nigga, please.
I know these assholes are superheroes and shit, but is there a reason to take off before the f***ing back hatch is closed? No one's had a chance to even sit down, let alone get buckled in.
Surely you're not asking if the super strong Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman are being affected by the tiny amount of G-forces here and are clearly referring to the human Batman, right? I mean, it's not like Batman has near perfect balance or anything. It's not like he's been shown to be able to fight a ton of bad guys while balancing on a log that was in the water, right? Huh. How about that?
My redemption is nigh.
Premature premature celebration.
Celebration implies that he believes his work is finished, but the word nigh means almost. He's saying he's almost achieved redemption, which is true, so it's not premature.
Superman needs the sun, gives him a boner for the fight to come.
Jeremy sings boner in a video, cliche.
Well, that was easy. If Independence Day, Minecraft, and the Star Wars movies have taught me anything, that should be pretty hard to do.
None of those guys have a Batman. Just saying.
Oh man, these parademons totally have stormtrooper aim, huh? If they're having this much trouble with the Batmobile, there's no way one of them would be able to later hit a target as fast as Flash, especially when he's almost at full speed, right? These guys are
Yeah, I get what you're implying. The problem is that the Flash was running so fast that he was basically easy to hit. Think about it. If you're running laps as fast as the Flash, you'd be in all spaces at all times. You'd be a literal ring. The real sin is that they missed a few times. Don't think I forgot about that laugh.
Wonder Woman and Flash show up to save Batman's ass here. That's all well and good, but they still don't even know Superman is coming to bail them out, so this is poor allocation of resources.
By this point in the scene, they haven't made it inside where the dome used to be yet, so saving Batman is part of the success of the team. I mean, if you lose your strategist, your plan is mostly dead on arrival.
Cyborg is here too? They left Steppenwolf all alone with Aquaman? The Justice League are dicks.
And here's the reason I covered the previous sin. CinemaSins is manipulating the movie again. Aquaman is out here fighting the parademons too. No one has yet gone inside where Steppenwolf is, and Jeremy knows this. He is lying to you. I do not understand why CinemaSins does this, but this is pure dishonesty.
You're welcome. Amen.
No booyah? I'd remove a sin, except I still remember the booyah from the theatrical version, so...
And here, Jeremy is literally showing a scene of Aquaman not inside with Steppenwolf, and he's totally ignoring that he just said the opposite.
Now Batman is shooting fools with a fucking alien heavy machine gun, and are any of these fucking characters doing what they're known for doing in this fucking final battle?
Oh? You mean like right now? Where Batman will use whatever is available to take out an enemy? Jeremy doesn't know shit about comics.
Tell me, Amazon. Why did you abandon your own sisters?
I know villains got a villain and shit, but is this really relevant right now?
Well, if you would have let the actual scene play, you would have understood how it was relevant.
Why did you abandon your own sisters, only to cast your lot with these creatures, clinging to their puny lives? You went there to protect them from me, and sadly you could have.
Hey, it's a literal Deus Ex Machina.
It's a literal deity in the machine? You know, because that's what Deus Ex Machina literally means, meaning, of course, you have no clue what you're talking about and just misuse and dumb down words.
Also, wow, Superman? You don't fucking say. I had him written off back when he was standoffish to the heroes after being reborn. No way I thought he was going to show up here at the end to save the day. That's ludicrous. Who in their right mind would have predicted that?
Then it's a wonder you're referring to it as a Deus Ex Machina, considering you and everyone else already knew Superman was going to show up here. And no, I'm not even talking about knowing this because of the Whedon cut. I'm including that movie here. There's an entire plot thread in both these films surrounding them resurrecting Superman so he could help defeat Steppenwolf. That is the antithesis of a Deus Ex Machina, because in order for something to be a Deus Ex Machina, the plot resolution has to come from nowhere and not be set up prior. Get it? If Superman randomly showed up after being dead and the movie never once hinted at him being resurrected, that would be a Deus Ex Machina. How the f*** are you a writer?
Why did Darkseid show up now? I thought he needed to be informed about the Unity after it happened. Then he would come to Earth and do his evil shit. The boxes haven't even been synchronized yet.
Another scene manipulation. This portal is open because the boxes do become synchronized in this scene. You're presenting this as if Darkseid is pulling up a chair and drinking coffee while the League struggles with the parademons or something. The synchronization happens literally 20 seconds after first seeing Darkseid on screen. Go on, check.
The guy who runs really fast will now run so fast he is running through space, but we will present that exceptional speed via slow motion, because
Sinning this scene for literally any reason other than Barry's goofy-ass running style.
You gotta hand it to Victor. He's got academic pride out the ass. Anytime he's not Cyborg, he's in some sort of letter jacket or Gotham City University swag. The Alumni Association should be constantly hitting him up after this.
This is because this jacket is the last thing Victor was wearing when he was fully human. Hyper-observant my ass.
Thank you is not enough what you did. I did a mistake.
Jesus, Bull's on fire with a desire to get the f*** away from this leaden exposition. He did a thing. You're thankful. You're both super privileged white people. Let's go already.
Superman is not white. He's Kryptonian. Like, literally from another planet. Just because he is fair-skinned doesn't make him white. I mean, if that's the case, what are these people? If you answered black, congratulations.
Isn't that right?
No context or justification here. CinemaSins just gives 30 cents to the film for this scene, so I have to assume they don't like this Joker, which, granted, Jared isn't the best. However, this scene redeemed his Joker in my estimation, and while he is no Ledger, Nicholson, or even Phoenix, this is the Joker I want to see more of.
Ah, it was all a dream! The movie's ending on an "it was all a dream" cliche. Wow. Not that the whole movie was a dream, but the unnecessary 6-minute desert future nightmare sequence was a dream. Which means it means nothing, since this is at the end of the fucking movie!
Jeremy is upset that a sequence called Nightmare was a dream.